wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones. And I am Billy E. Jones. Thank you very much for watching, and be sure to share this program with your friends and your family. And remember, we're on the air every Wednesday. That time is 10 a.m. to 11. And of course, you can go to TV33, YouTube, on demand, and you can pick us up. But I don't want to go into a whole lot of stuff. I've got a wonderful guest that'll tell you what the future is here. That's right. The future is here, sitting right next to me. This young man is going to really blow up, and we're going to honored to be able to have him here today with us on the Talk Beat Jones. And you know the way I like to do it when I got my guests, I like to get right to it. So, sir, would you please introduce yourself?
How y'all doing? My name is Marquise, program director here at 88.1. You got you a good TV voice. I got to get like that.
You got a great voice, except just be you, because when I'm listening to you, I say, man, that boy, that young man got it. He got it.
I appreciate you.
Just handle your business. In fact, today, sometimes I'm going to step to the side and let you kind of let the folks know who you are and what you do. So why don't we just do that right off? When is your program, and who are you, and what is it that you do as a program director here at TV33?
Well, the good music that you hear at 88.1 when you tune in and listen to it, that's the music that I program in. I try to get a nice blend of new R&B, old school R&B, new hip hop, old school hip hop, brand new hip hop stuff you ain't never heard before, underground records, mainstream records, stuff like that, commercials and ads. When you see the shows, you see the cameras moving like how you're seeing them right now. Normally that's the stuff I'm doing on radio, but you know Billy Jones pulled me in front of the camera today, so I'm out here now supporting them for the one time. Throughout the week, I do a very what's the safe TV word? Colorful variety of radio shows. My main one is Sunday, So Not Told Radio. Currently doing that one. Monday and Thursday as well. I do the Plug podcast with my homegirl DW from 9 to 11 p.m. That's the one Billy Jones had the pleasure of listening to.
All right.
So
tell me something. When you say a podcast, what is a podcast?
Okay, so my best answer for this question is if anybody's ever been in a barbershop or a hair salon and you've engaged in any type of conversation, take that same premise, put some microphones and, you know, optionally some cameras, and that's essentially what a podcast is.
And so what do you do when you're on the podcast? And if folks out there watching, listening right now, should they contact you about trying to have a podcast show with you, or how can they? How do people get involved with coming on the radio with you?
Absolutely, you can contact me direct 313-208-8724.
You're gonna slow this down. You got time. See, people are watching you now, so you can slow it down, give them a chance to breathe, and catch that number one at a time. Do it again, brother.
313-208-8724. You need any information on podcasts and fees and such, times available, contact me. I can get you in contact with who you need to be in contact with.
Now, this is the time that you're on TV. Can you give us a little difference between doing the radio and being on television where the folks are watching you right now?
The biggest difference to me would probably just be the formality of TV. When you're on radio and podcasting too, it's a little bit more lax, a little bit more of
that's what I want.
Intimate setting.
Come on, see,
you
this
know
is
what I'm saying?
Now. See, I'm interrupting you right now. It's like you do on the radio, because see, this is what I want. I don't want this TV stuff.
Yeah.
See, I want you to take your hands out of the pockets. I want you to go ahead and be the radio man the way you are, because I listened to your show. That's right. Get yourself comfortable, boy, because this is your time. And the thing about television, you take your personality, you take your perspective, you do you. You ain't got to be smooth. You ain't got to be all that whatever. You just be you like you on the radio. I want you to hit them like Marquise do it on the radio. That's what I want. I want your personality. Because see, folks, this young man, when you walk in and talk with him, he's so soft, he's so smooth, and he's so comfortable. But when he's on the radio, give me Marquise on the radio, please.
I can give y'all a little bit of Marquise on the radio, because another difference between TV and radio, a little bit more rules apply when you're on television as opposed to radio. So I can just give y'all a little bit.
All it is, you just don't cuss.
Yeah.
And otherwise, on the Talk Beat Jones show, all you have to understand is you don't cuss. Everything else go in terms of how you communicate with your friends, how you communicate with your audience, because remember, this is a worldwide show. We've had folks listen to this show to learn how to talk, how to listen, how to communicate without fussing and fighting with each other. So this is what this is about. That's why I wanted you, brother, because I want folks to see that you have that type of style that is so, it just pulls you in, and I want that. I don't want the reserved. I don't want to got to be restricted. I don't want to have to worry about the rules, because the rules are what's in your heart. You know, the only thing you have to do on the Talk Beat Jones is don't cuss. So turn it loose. Give him a one shot and let's let him take his over and do it like you do on the radio, Marquise.
I appreciate you, man. So a lot of my topics on my various shows, they kind of differentiate from really show to show and week to week, really. Whatever's going on in mainstream news, we talk about it from a more youthful perspective.
I tell you what, let's hit that. I want you to let me know what's happening in the hip hop world. What is all this controversy? What's going on in terms of the rappers having difficulties, all these rumors about different folks, etc. Give me some subject matters that the folks say, oh, let me grab hold of this and listen to this man.
Okay, I got you. So on my last show, today's Wednesday, so Monday, we had a little bit of a topic about how star power today doesn't translate like it did, 20, 30 years ago.
That sounds like something me and you can get into.
Yeah.
I can deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. Let's have a discussion for the folks to listen and hear us do it.
Okay, so anybody that's a fan of, well, just music in general, I can generalize it.
Mm-hmm.
The artists that you grew up listening to, their star power was a lot more prevalent than it is nowadays. Nowadays, whoever you think the biggest artist is, they've either been that for 10 years and had a machine behind them, or if they're a young up-and-coming artist, they don't last like the young up-and-coming artist did 10, 20 years ago. They'll have a good solid 3 years, and then you don't hear from them for a good little while.
You talking about the ones that are out today?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think social media has a lot to do with that. I feel like accessibility to people is playing a big part in that. A lot of these artists kind of not that good either.
I was going to say, competition. It used to be you were groomed and put out there and people worked with you. Mm-hmm. Now, because of social media, you can do something from home and become a star. Mm-hmm. But you really don't have no basis no groundwork to understand that foundation. Mm-hmm. So that means that in that musical section that you're dealing with, you have people that are coming out every day that people say, oh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one. Oh, did you hear? He was, that's somewhat of a difference between the artists that was back in the day that had to struggle for appearances, had to struggle for getting their music out on the radio. TV was social media was if you didn't get in the magazine or the newspapers. So it was more foundation that they had to deal with. Plus, you didn't have the competition that was getting the exposure right off the top without having any formal understanding of the business of what it takes to compete You got folks who make a song in the bathroom that can become a hit, and they're out there. So, like in the hip hop, you can be hot today. Someone can see what you're doing and do a slightly different version of you and become a bigger star than the person that they was doing a slight different version. I heard about the BET Awards. Did you watch the BET?
Unfortunately, I watched it yesterday.
But let's give us a little understanding about the BET Awards and from your perspective as an artist.
Well, so I watched the Hip Hop Awards yesterday, and growing up when I was a kid, it was a lot more. They had a lot more of the who's who of the time there, and even before that time, like you would have guys like Jay-Z, Beyonce would be there, Lil Wayne would be there, Drake would be there, the hot artists on the charts would be there. If they weren't performing, they were at least in the crowd.
In the audience.
What the BET Awards like to do is when somebody's performing, they like to pan to the crowd.
That's right.
To show you who's in the building, who's rapping along.
And show you their support for that artist and those folks and the program and stuff. Yes.
Right. So I was commenting, 'cause I was watching with some family yesterday. I'm like, they've never had the camera on the stage this long. And I felt a lot of that was because, one, nobody either knew the song, liked the song, or you didn't know who the person was in the crowd anyway for them to even put the camera on. A lot of the artists I felt that should have been performing were hosting. A lot of them got public school education, so they're not reading really very fluently. A lot of them are kind of, they smoke and indulge in drinking a little bit, so they're not really the best with enunciation. It's heavy Southern and New York accents. So, yeah, the whole show wasn't very, very good to me. It was, one of the lesser ones. And that's really how it's going now.
I was listening to a person that I really, really, really give deep respect, and I think that he is probably one of the number one persons on the radio, and that's Mason. And I've watched the way that he has groomed Star, and they are really, really smooth, and they're really great, and they're really honest about their opinions. And they gave a little thought about the BET Awards, which is what you're coming from. They felt the same particular way. And Mason was saying, Detroit, you need to step up and have these awards, because what is happening now, she says, hey, it seems like they was just doing a whole lot of scrunching and twerking and stripping, not really performing. And people, go ahead.
Not even that, really. I don't know if the network called or something and complained, but it was like every time I'm like, okay, at least I'm gonna see some twerking. Somebody would step in front of the twerking, and then I don't even get to see that. So I'm like, all right, some of y'all, a lot of the artists, y'all really can't rap. The best part of y'all is y'all twerking. So if you take that away, it's like, why am I watching right now? I should come back when somebody who can actually rap is on stage.
Okay.
So even that, they kind of minimized a little bit.
Okay.
And I have another small Detroit issue.
Give it to me. That's Mason. Give it to me.
I just want to say I love the artists. I'm not going to name no names. Y'all watched it. Y'all know who I was talking about. There's been this thing where Detroit has been getting his shine, but it's kind of a dim sort of light. A lot of we have a very distinct sound.
Okay.
The only other place that shares our sound is Oakland. And it's because we're brothers and cousins in the industry.
Oakland, California is what he's speaking of.
Yes, sir. Shouts out to Oakland. Love y'all. So I'm watching it, and I'm noticing a lot of other cities, not Oakland, are stealing our beats. And I got to say stealing because they're stealing. That's not, especially there are these regions that have their own distinct sound. And it's a popular sound.
Okay.
But they're using the Detroit sound.
Okay.
And they're getting over with the sound. When we get criticized for using the sound, when people come out of town and say, "Oh, y'all, the music's too fast." Any of y'all that listen to, DJs, Big Dog Blast, anybody, when the mix come on, it's faster. It's a lot more faster than the average mix.
Shout out to Norman.
Shouts out to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. So I just found it funny that when we do the sound, it's not acceptable. But when other artists take the sound and use it, which is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But they get a lot more further with our sound than we do with our sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was funny. I always notice stuff like that.
And I also want to give a shout out to Mason because this morning, they were talking about the comparison and what the situation here in Detroit in terms of they mentioned the scene, and they mentioned Mr. R.J. Watkins and Nat Morris and the scene, and they talked about the fact that had the scene been able to spin there, they would have kicked even Soul Train's butt. And don't even talk about Dick Clark. Okay? The scene was the #1 program. And that's Detroit. And I remember being in Oakland, and I engineered as well. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have guessed to see me now. But and this program, because again, Oakland, Soul Beat, and Mr. R.J. Watkins, Mr. Chuck Johnson had a thing of passing their programming from one region to the other. And when the scene would come on, and they'd be doing the JIT, mm-hmm. It's like we in Oakland, we'd like, what is this? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because we had never seen that type of speed dancing, moving, etc. Can you give us a little understanding of why Detroit is always breaking these new scenes and breaking these new situations or even sounds or dance, and everybody just kind of come into it?
Funny enough, actually, I'm a lot like you. Actually, wasn't originally born in Michigan. Mm-hmm. Also a Cali native.
Oh, no stuff.
Yeah, born Long Beach, moved to Carson.
Oh no, you come from them other upper level areas.
Yeah. We weren't always the most beloved part of California.
That's right.
Up, but it's all good though.
That's right.
But from my perspective, anytime you have a region that isn't New York or California or Atlanta now, mm-hmm. I can say Memphis as well, you kind of have to get in your own type of way. Mm-hmm. To any of y'all that are 90s babies, y'all remember the Chicago eruption about 10 years ago with their own sound.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's
kind of break that down for those who don't know, because remember, we go around the world, mm-hmm. we help educate folks mm-hmm. about what is really going on. Mm-hmm. So give us that and then kind of break it down a little bit. What is that Chicago sound that you're speaking of?
So the sound is called drill music. A lot of y'all may not be very familiar with it. It's more of, okay, so let me take y'all back to around 1988, 87, 88, 89, around in there. If y'all remember when Ice-T and NWA came out, mm-hmm. It's a lot like that, but, just in Chicago.
Okay.
And I'm a firm believer that what's going on in real life gets reflected in the music as opposed to the other way around, which is just
that you're speaking of now that was one of the things about the music and the industry then, mm-hmm. is that they brought out was more of a reflection mm-hmm. of real life, mm-hmm. not that imaginary, this thing that's going on, everybody's mm-hmm. imaginary and put it out there and you say, I like what he is imagining that he do or she's doing or whatever. Those groups and that sound mm-hmm. was from the streets because mm-hmm. they took what was really, really going on mm-hmm. and put it into their beats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So fast forward about 20 years into the future now, we get around 2012, 13-ish, I think is when it started. Chicago still is one of the upper cities as far as the murder rate and things of that nature. So mm-hmm. you take that with young producers, and then you get drill music. And in my opinion, from 2012 to just 15, 16-ish, the effect really affected a lot of different cities. And in my mind, Detroit music wasn't more so based in violence. Mm-hmm. It was based in hustling and making money and fly talking, putting clothes on, and I got this, I got that, and having a good time as opposed to violence. It's about 70% that, 30% violence.
Okay.
When drill music came around, a lot of artists got a lot more dangerous, and the danger part was never the focal point of the music, but it became that as a result of the bleeding effect of drill music coming into hip hop and things of that nature. So when you do stuff like that, and other artists that's never been to the city, never heard nothing or anything like that, come to the city or bring people from the city. That's how a lot of different regions get their foot in the game.
For those folks who just tuned in, would you once again introduce yourself and what is that you do?
My name is Marquise, Program Director at 88.1 WHPR. We were in Detroit. On-air personality as well, if I say so myself.
I hear you. That's why I said you the next big thing, bro.
Yes, sir. On about, I think I'm on 5 days a week, actually. I never thought of that. Yeah, 5 days a week.
I mean, we have some fantastic folks who are working behind the scenes as well as now stepping out. You know, we have a young brother that is doing the program here today that has a great program. Great program. I know you're gonna get upset with me one more time, but you know I'm used to folks getting upset with me. I've been slapped behind the head with love. I've been slapped behind the head with a little. So he can do it. Timmy Tim has a great program, a great show in which he spotlights the artists, the music. He goes way back with them. He brings as well as those who are today. So you want to get broken out, how they say it, I want to break you, contact Timmy Tim because he's doing that for you. Great program.
I've called it a couple times. Shouts out to Tim. I done seen it.
Yes.
He done been around the world now, He had some interviews in there.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, if you don't know, if you think this is just a one-track pony, no. The folks here at TV33, WHPR, WHPS are multi-talented in that they bring folks here, and folks like this young man is able to put them on the microphone, put the camera on them, show them all you got to do is sit down or stand up or however you got to do it, and I got you. But they also can flip that and be the person that someone can put them on, and they can say, watch me now. Hit me, Mr. Marquise.
Yes, sir.
I heard you with the girls. What are some of the subjects that you and when you with those ladies are talking about?
Okay. Love y'all. But a lot of them have a lack of male in their life. And I feel that even when they do, it's kind of a biased viewpoint they get. You know, it's the world you grew up in ain't the world you're grown in. So a lot of them, when they talk to like their uncles and fathers, they tell them about how it used to be, how dudes used to be, and how the world used to be, and it ain't that no more.
Okay.
What I do is I give them the reality of, I preface it by, this isn't me. These are some colorful gentlemen. I used to be one of these colorful gentlemen. So I can still tap into the thought process of the colorful gentleman.
Yes.
And, you know, I just try to game them up on how my brothers and sisters as well, are thinking as far as relationships and their motives and stuff of that nature.
Give us a little difference, maybe, because like I said, you've had your foot in both sides. Give me a little taste of when you were on the other side. How did you see things and how was things kind of running? We're going to come back to the artists that drill, because I want to speak on the fact that it seems that the artists are more challenging when in their music. They're more in folks' face now. They're more into, I'm here, what you gonna do about it? I'm here, I can take care of it, I'm bulletproof, and there's nothing you can do. This is me, I got it, you don't, I got it all, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Get out of my face. And you can do another thing too to me, but that's what it is. And you're challenging, and it seems like people are getting, they get targeted behind the type of music that is out. Comparison, the music that was back in the time was more how to find that lady, get that lady, be with that lady, or be with that guy. Or my heart is broken because I lost that lady, lost that man, or whatever. Now it's more in your face, and these artists are being taken out. Go ahead.
So first of all, on the I could start on the hip hop side and then get to the transition that R&B subsequently made.
Okay.
So in my opinion, a lot of the guys, I told you this before, we're the only community to ever do this. We've made the struggle profitable. Because a lot of communities, the non-white community, Italian communities, Asian communities, all of them have been in the hood before, been in tough times before. They've been in the streets before. They've all had their groups, the mafia, the triads and stuff like that. They've all had their groups that have been in the streets. The difference is they got in the streets, got the money, got out the streets, didn't go back to the streets.
Okay.
We made being in the streets the income. So it's very profitable to be from a dangerous city or to be part of a gang. So what happens is there's dudes out here that ain't really doing that stuff, but they're from a reputable neighborhood, or they talk to the local guys and they got them behind them. So they come out like that. And for whatever reason, this generation doesn't believe in the streets. They don't believe that anything can happen to them. They don't believe that it's real. And a lot of them find out. So when they come out here and then they start traveling, well, it's half and half. There's the ones that start traveling and they're wearing all this nice stuff, and then they're in somebody else's city, a city where a lot of people find it arrogant. Like, oh, you're coming to my city, you're doing this, you're doing that, and you just don't know. Let me show you how we get down here. And then we lose an artist, or they come here or there, wherever they're from, doing the same thing. As if they don't remember when they were poor and broke and what they used to do to people.
Come on now. Come on, break it down.
And then we lose them at home.
You got it. Go ahead.
So that's always been my thing is I understand. And I'm not going to sit here and be ignorant like I don't understand.
Come on.
I love the music too. I'm a
teach,
program
brother.
director.
I want you to teach us.
And I get it. But again, 20, 30 years ago, a lot of them dudes were really doing that. A lot of them were from the background, or they had people behind them of the background of doing that. When I mentioned NWA earlier, it's 5 of them. Only one of them was actually selling dope in the streets.
Okay.
Only Eazy-E was the
I
one
was gonna say
in the
Eazy-E,
streets.
yeah.
The rest of them were just rappers. But because they were with him, he gave them credibility.
And that persona that they picked up as though they was all that rough, tough, and a gang.
Yeah. So what's going on nowadays is dudes aren't even doing that. They're not even at least getting the protection from the people in their neighborhood or whoever they can.
Explain what you're saying about them not getting the protection to be an artist that's out here doing things, that's making things. You have to have some form of protection, or you have to go talk about that.
Well, if to anybody that know, drug dealers have always funded hip hop.
Okay.
The artist may not have talked about that, but while an LL Cool J or a Run DMC was rapping, whoever the local dope boys is in New York would jump on stage, and this is documented. You can watch it. They would be performing. They jump on stage. They pull the gun out, say, "Hey, shout out such and such, such and such." Smile, and then they say, "Yo, shout out to such and such, such and such in the building. Hey ho!" So it's always been that.
Okay.
Around, I want to say, NWA, Death Row, Tupac era is when that started getting put on Front Street. Around 2010.
And don't forget about Master P.
Oh, we never forget about Master P. Never forget about Master P. Shouts out to Master P. Around 2010ish, I want to say, is when that kind of the authenticity of it kind of got taken out, and now we're left with just the image. Only we've been able to make the image mean something. You could not be from and done anything, but if you say you are, you look like it. That's all you need.
And when we come back after this commercial break, I want to ask you the question about the companies that tell these artists your music is too clean. It doesn't have enough content of to it. You got to roughen it up. You got to make it more threatening. And let's talk about that when we come back, okay?
Gotcha.
I am Billy E. Jones, and
Marquise.
And this is the Talk Beat Jones. Remember, we're on the air every Wednesday from 10 to 11. There's also another broadcast on 15.2. Got it right this time. And so be with us. Stay with us. Tell your friends if they haven't watched us. I have a young man that's going to blow up right here, Marquise. Be back shortly. You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones.
Hi, this is LaWanda.
This is RJ Watkins.
Coming to you to bring you some information about the #1 detox in the nation, Lemon Burn. Lemon Burn helps to turn the fat into fit. It's for you, a happier, healthier you. Because healthy is the new beautiful. An all-natural way to improve your health. It promotes a healthy digestive system, attacks and reduces belly fat, as well as gives you energy. Need to get yours today. Call 313-868-6612.
Don't forget to exercise and eat right.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Mattered. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
You ready to put your podcast on iHeartRadio? Yes, your podcast on iHeartRadio. What about Alexa, Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android, or iPhone? Plus live TV streaming. Get your podcast seen and heard all over the world. Call 313-868-6612. Pre-recorded shows are accepted to be archived. This is a WHPR distribution platform. Download the app from the App Store. Go to WHPRTV.com. Channels available for lease 24/7 on Roku, Fire Stick, or Apple TV. Coming soon, subscription and pay-per-view.
Also,
Block time is available. Get yours. Call 313-868-6612. That's 313-868-6612. Executive producer RJ Watkins. Program director Henry Tyler. 107.5 FM WGPR HD2. RadioWeCanSee.com.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones. Is the Talk Beat Jones, and my name, I am Billy E. Jones, and I have a wonderful, great guest. Like I told you, folks, continue to watch, listen, and young man, would you introduce yourself?
How y'all doing? My name is Marquise, program director here at 88.1 WHPR. We run Detroit, honor and personality, shoot, janitor when they need one, receptionist, greeter, everything.
That's right. And, that's the wonderful thing about being at TV 33 because there is no, we can't do, I don't do that. No. Mm-mm. No. Everything that needs to be done, the personnel here at TV 33, I don't care how, what the titles or even the ownership will step in and handle things that has to be handled at any particular level. So I was asking about the music companies themselves and how they would take an artist, get the music or get what they're doing and tell them that they are not hard enough, that they're not ghetto enough. Can you hit on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's since the introduction of gangster rap music, that's been a thing. Again, because the image is so profitable nowadays. It's actually worse now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on getting all the information together. I'm very much convinced that a lot of these labels, if they're not killing the artist directly, then they're putting them in positions to get killed.
And what is the advantage that when you got an artist who's making music and is being is selling, who gets the catalog or who controls their music if the artist is killed?
Oh, the same person that already has it. The label does.
So the label. I'm gonna leave it alone. Let you handle that part.
Mm-hmm. So I can, from my very novice knowledge of the record business, when artists sign to labels, they give them this money up front in advance to make their first or second album or whatever happens. Now, 9 times out of 10, a lot of these artists are coming from ghettos, hoods, poor conditions. And this is even before hip hop. This is just music in general. The Temptations went through this. They'll give them the money and it's just a loan. When the album comes back and the sales come back, we take that money out of that and then we pay you. So God forbid your first album doesn't recoup the money that they put up front for the initial album. Now you're in debt. And they'll give you another advance for the second album. Okay. But you still owe the first money. So let's say they give you $800,000. You only do $300,000. That's $500,000 you still owe them. Okay. God forbid they give you another $8. Okay. And you do worse, stack that on top of the money that you owed from the first time. So now you only 2 albums in, and on social media or on TV and the videos, you got the chain, you got these cars, you got this house. You really almost $1 million in debt. Okay. And if you're not one of the who's who of music, you're not going to get a whole lot when it comes to tours and things of that nature, doing all these different festivals and stuff like that.
But isn't that where the artists really supposed to make their money, is on tours?
Yeah. They're supposed to. But if you're in debt to your label.
Because all of that touring and all of the monies that's spent for the venues, etc., and your accommodations, your living accommodations on the road, etc., your clothing and your foods and your other things that may come up, they take care, but that's money that you have to pay back. Okay.
So again, if you're not the top tier cream of the crop artist, where you just you're worth so much money that you don't even notice that you make so much money just off your name. You pay that, you pay the label off, and then you pay off this and that. Then you have all these different ventures. A lot of rappers now are getting into wines and alcoholic beverages and these dispensaries. It's a reason for that.
Even Snoop Dogg, I watched a commercial in which Snoop Dogg was saying he's 51 or 2, and he said that he's gone through ED and what it was doing to his marriage, and what the solution is. It's a form of advertising. But he's saying, hey man, I had no idea it was going to hit me. Well, I can tell you folks out here right now, you remember Snoop Dogg has been smoking all that good stuff for how many years? Folks don't understand. You smoke all that stuff for all these good years, men, it will catch you. It will catch you. Believe me. Ask Snoop.
Y'all take care of yourself. We got this thing about the doctor. We just don't go. My black brothers, y'all go to the doctor.
And but like I said, the excessive continuation of your smoking for men will affect you sexually. That's what one of the problems with too much consistency of your good smoke. It relaxes you too much. But anyway, going back to where you were at.
Yeah. So what's going on now is, and a lot of y'all that are, YouTube savvy, y'all can look this up. What's going on now is they have this AI music.
Yeah.
Where the artist, I've heard some of the greatest Tupac songs in my life. He been dead, I don't know how long. I've heard he got new releases coming out every other day with the AI, with artists he ain't never even met. Some of them weren't even alive when he was alive. So that on top of what's already been going on, they have no reason to have the artists alive anymore. Like, you sign them, they get shot. then all you got to do is hire a writer to write lyrics, and you just slap their voice on top of it because you essentially own their name.
Help me with this. Is that hologram? What is that they do?
Yeah, that's different. That's
Okay.
so
I
that's
mean,
for
but-
like
I
live
mean-
performances.
But I mean, if they got that and the artists, so they can show the image of the artist with the music, and now they got a whole total package. Is what I'm trying to say.
So let's say somebody's watching this show and they take a snippet of you saying a bunch of different words. They can throw that in a computer. The computer can get your speech pattern down and reflections of how you speak down.
Okay.
And then they can send a lyric sheet through the computer and say, make it sound like this, and the third. And then they got a song.
And there's no license against that. And then do the artists receive royalties from that?
I've only ever seen, regular people use it. Once the music industry gets a hold of it, I'm pretty sure they're going to put it in a contract where that at the event of your untimely death, we own your vocals, we own your voice, we own your name. And then it's like your artist could be dead, you wouldn't even know it.
So is that what the artist catalogs is about? And all these artists now are trying to get the catalogs back by buying the catalogs?
Yeah, a lot of art. Well, first of all, some of y'all's catalogs ain't worth nothing. So don't even try to do that. They're not worth anything to you. You're not gonna get it. Others, the labels had your catalog so long, nobody's really listening to your music anymore. So it doesn't really do much for you to attempt to buy it. That's something a Kanye would do, a Drake would do, a Lil Wayne would do. Somebody whose catalog means something, and they can still make music off of their catalog. But a lot of artists want to get their masters, so
Yes.
that way they can get paid for all these different things that come with making this music. Some have went the route of re-recording their music and then
Taylor
re-releasing
Swift did
it.
that.
Yeah, yep. She knows something. Shouts out to Taylor. I'm sure she's gotten some information that we're just now getting. But yeah, it's a scary thing, man. I wouldn't want to be a rapper.
So in your perspective, what makes we were speaking about the artists that was fake, but they act tough. They act like they're from the streets, and they put out some music that's a hit. People just all crazy about them. They go to their concerts and go to their performance, and they're bad. I mean, just love them. Ice, ice, baby, ice. When they found out the ice guy was not what he supposed was, I mean, just using that, but there were other artists too that they found out they were not from the streets. They were not from the hood. They're not a part of the gangs. They are just folk that picked up the imagery. And when they were exposed, guess what? They got dropped. They got dropped because they were not those folks, but the talent. And I thought it was supposed to be the talent. So kind of break that down for me a little bit.
It hasn't been the talent in I don't know how long. Talent isn't. If nobody sees it, what good is talent?
Okay.
In this field.
Okay.
In this field. So a lot of see, my thing is you can't have just talent and that's it. Talent is just nowadays, as far as in this field, that's just a piece of it. We were speaking about R&B earlier. You don't gotta really be a good songwriter or a songwriter at all. In R&B, you could sing somebody else's song and then it's your song. Luther Vandross made a career off of that. I found out a lot of his songs originally weren't his songs.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, a lot of his songs were not his songs originally. He did a lot of remakes and covers, and then they became his songs because he just did them better than everybody else. He has I think he took a Marvin Gaye song, a Gladys Knight song.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of his songs aren't his songs.
Now, I believe Usher must have a tremendous talent pool of writers that help him with his music because he has such a variety of styles in his music that he puts out. And like I said, he's been doing it since he was a young. Did you know that actually Usher was a winner of a music contest?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he as a youngster, Usher's been doing this since he was a baby boy, and got nothing but greater and greater and greater and greater. But when an artist like that, or they presented, a person writes the music and sings the music, and then it shows them this is how the music that I wrote can sound. And then like Usher would take the music and then hear it and then put Usher's touch to it.
A lot of artists, again, the top tier special artists, they do that.
Okay.
Because to my understanding, a lot of them, and rap has this too, but it's more prevalent in R&B. A lot of them will be brought a song
Yes.
written by somebody else, and the writer attempts to write it in a cadence for them, and then some will just sing it how it was brought to them. Others will get in the studio and put their flip on it and make it a one-of-one type of song. And in hip-hop, that's frowned upon, actually.
Oh, is it?
If you don't write your own stuff, or it used to be anyway, if you don't write your own stuff, then and you're rapping, you could never have a song brought to you by another rapper and then you rap it. That's not a thing.
The song, I can't think of the name, but the guys who wrote the song about Delight or something, they spoke about one of the guys, and there was three of the guys, and one of the guys really couldn't write. So they had to do something about that, got rid of him. So this is what is interesting. You've got these youngsters like a Bieber, Justin Bieber, that he got on the internet, and then I think Usher started dealing with him. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's like you got all these youngsters that do something, have a sound, and it becomes a flavor, but they really don't know what they're doing. You go around to, you take Detroit, for instance. We got the Detroit Youth Choir. Those kids can sing their butts off. They win the contest, but what happens when they get a little older? They still have the talent. They still could sing, but some of the voices change. Can you speak on artists that maybe their voice changed and they didn't quite have the same effect?
Yeah. Well, you gotta change with your voice. Even your voice can stay the same. If the sound changes, then you gotta change with it. That happens all the time in hip hop. It went from a boom bap style to a G-funk style that Dre introduced. Then the South came in, and we had 5X shirts down to our ankles, and we was leaning with it, and everything was just real simple. Then stuff got a little bit more complicated. Then it got a little dangerous. You got to change with the times to stay around. That's how it's always been. We were rocking and rolling, doo-wopping. And we started doing the Motown sound, and James Brown came along, and now we're doing funk, and disco came, and then what happened after that? The New Jack Swing came around, and then we had the R&B of the 90s, and then that's pretty
much. The New
much
Jack Swing, that didn't last a long time, did it? Or is it still going?
No, that didn't. That was a product of hip-hop to me.
Okay.
So I didn't think that had a big shelf life either. I think that's the point when hip-hop and R&B kind of started to blend together, and we kind of lost that old school singing, gospel rooted R&B.
Yeah.
Is around that New Jack Swing time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you go through and you're doing your program, you're talking subject wise. How do you come up with the subject, or is it that the people that you're producing will come in with that topic and you flow with it?
Basically, my topics is living, seeing, and hearing in life, just going through stuff and experiences. And then I just be like, you know what, that'll be something nice to talk about. Let me stop. Or I'll be in the midst of a conversation. I'm like, stop, save it for the night.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that later on, because you sound really, love y'all, but when I talk to people, I'm like, you sound really dumb. I'm going to show you how dumb you sound on the show tonight. Or I'll hear something from my lady friends, and I'll be like, ooh, you really think that? Po child. And then I educate them later on. Like, no, that's
and
not
I've
how
heard
that
you
is.
do that.
Yeah. I've had to do that. We got a little bit of time left, so I can give y'all one of my
Got about 7 minutes.
one of my favorite topics.
Give it to me.
Yeah, so I'll
Hey,
tell
Tim,
my sisters.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you take about 3 or 4 minutes and let me step out the picture, and you talk to your audience about your subject, what you're speaking on. I'm going to step out there. Go ahead.
I got you. Okay. My young sisters, I love y'all, but dudes don't care about kids. They don't. You having kids, that's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. Don't nobody really want to raise kids. Don't nobody want to watch them. If they don't got to, they're not gonna. A lot of brothers, y'all know like they nickname. You can't put a nickname on the birth certificate. Okay. Y'all don't know them. They don't give y'all real name out. They don't even take y'all to their real house. They take y'all to the house where all the other homies take the girls at. If you ever notice, there's no sheets on the bed. It's just real clean. He's not clean. That's just the house where they do stuff at. So to be courteous to the other homeboys, you keep the house clean when it's your turn. And then before you leave, you take your sheets, you disinfect, and you leave the house like that. What a lot of y'all are running into is these brothers, and they're not even as good as they used to be. They're giving y'all this story about who they are and the stuff that they like, and they don't really like none of that stuff. But a lot of y'all be so in love with these brothers that y'all just take what they say as face value, and then you let them do what they do, and then it's like, oh, he changed. He wasn't like that in the beginning. No, he was like that. You was just ignoring all the signs of him being like that. I run into this a lot with my sister. She's younger than me, and she just be saying some of the dumbest stuff I ever heard in my life, and it really makes me mad because when I read the messages or something like that, I'm like, he's not even really witty or clever with it. He ain't got no type of, if you gonna lie to me, this is just me personally, I don't care about lies. Tell me a good lie. Have enough respect for me to tell me a nice thought out lie. So that way when I hear it, I go, okay, that's some BS. But thank you for having enough respect to actually have some detail in your lie. A lot of these brothers aren't as smart as the people that came before them. They're not as up on quote unquote the game as they claim to be. And a lot of y'all that have older men or brothers and stuff like that, they can game up some of y'all. But the ones that don't, that's where I come in at. That's what I tend to be for my ladies, that especially ones that come through here. I'll sit and I'll listen to them. And I be thinking a lot of the times it just be content for the radio, for the podcast. No, they really be thinking like that. And I'm like, oh, man, you. So 3-4 kids later, it's like, well, what you thought was going to happen. When he did it the first 2 times, what made you think he was going to change the rest of the times? So that's a lot of the stuff that I specialize in as far as the shows, only because I have a lot of different females that be on the show. If it was a lot of brothers on the show, maybe the content would be a little different. But, I work with what I work with. I know for the majority of the time, that's where at some point it's going to go. So, when I hear it, it's like, man ain't this and man ain't that. I'm like, okay, first of all, man ain't really a 20-year-old and a 40, 50-year-old could be different, but a lot of the times he ain't going to be different. A lot of dudes, if it work and it keeps working, he ain't going to change nothing. The same thing he said to you, whatever he said to you, he said to somebody else, and he only said it to you because it worked last time. It worked the time before that and the time before that. If it ain't broke, he ain't going to fix it. So whatever he comes at you with, yeah, it worked. He might use it again because it might work again. That's just how I go. And I try to tell them that, and they say they be listening, but, my sisters, I love y'all. A lot of y'all listen to, respond and not retain the information. So, I just end up sitting back and, oh, okay. So, what happened? Oh, that's crazy. Really? I just repeat it back to him like, he did that and did that? That's crazy.
Okay, now when can we get some of that good education in entertaining? Because, see, you make it entertaining. It's not like, well, here's what we got to do. Mm-hmm. We got to sit back and you got to check the brother out and really get down with him and go into the little background. That's not the way you do it.
No.
You make it entertaining.
Yes.
So what nights that we can listen to you on what station? Give us a little background. We get about 2 minutes, about a minute and a half.
Right. I'm about to come at y'all with a few days and times and dates, so stay with me. This Thursday, 9 p.m. to 11, the Plug Podcast. I will be there with my homegirl DW on 88.1. You can go to www.fm881, no point, 881whpr.com. You can tune in for that. Sunday is my main show, the one that I MC, from 9 to 11 on WVIE, that station. And then you can see the plug again Monday, same place, 88.1, same time, 9 to 11. Oh, and also on the app. Thank you, Tim. WHPR TV. Get that app. It's also on Roku, Fire Stick, anything where you can download apps. I've done research. If you can download an app, it's there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I told you, man, I listened and my eyes got like, what? What? And I fell back on my bed. I said, man, this is smooth. This is really entertaining talk from a young perspective. But it's a type of talk, family, that as an older person, you too can identify with what's going on there. Because remember, it's your daughter, it's your son that's being influenced by what they're speaking about. And the brother here is breaking it down, trying to help the sisters who are kind of slow. Mm-hmm. But they're knowledgeable, but they're just kind of slow. And also some of the ones who have been indoctrinated by somebody that has groomed them. I think that's a better word. They've been groomed. I see folks being groomed all the time, young, older, and you wonder why they do the things they do. They've been groomed, folks. There are folks who they don't know is working them from a latent pimp style of communication. Mm-hmm. Is this somewhat true?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So, family, I want you to know this is the Talk Beat Jones. I am Billy Jones. Again, we're on the air every Wednesday from 10 to 11. You can pick us up also on TV 33, YouTube. Go there on demand, and you can pick us up anytime. Look for that Billy E. Jones, and you can see it. Again, my guest, real quick.
Marquise, Program Director, 88.1. You got to come on my show now.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll be happy to come on your show, brother, because, again, I love talking with you. I love talking to the world and to the folks and let them know your program go around the world as well. Yes, on that radio. All around. So, family, again, this is the Talk Beat Jones. I'm Billy Jones, and we're working on that Jones-a-size thing. In fact, he's helping me with that. Again, thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Love, respect, and hi, Dad. You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones.